Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Teal Bytes. I'm Radhika, and I'm excited to bring you another insightful episode filled with a thought provoking discussion. Today, we have the privilege of hosting Mr. Sujit Kumar, Senior VP and Head IT and Business Operations at Cyient. Sujit is a seasoned global leader with 28 years of experience driving growth and transformation. From sales and delivery operations to IT transformation and M&A, he has led strategic initiatives that have enhanced operational efficiency and boosted both top line and bottom line performance. Sujit, a very warm welcome, and it's great to have you with us today.
Thank you, Radhika. My pleasure to be on the Teal Bytes.
Thank you so much, Sujit. Sujit, today, I would like to get your perspective on that. Being a seasoned IT leader, you've seen technology evolve rapidly, right? So, with AI automating most operational roles, what are the unique human strengths that will still keep us indispensable in the workplace of the future? Your views, please, Sujit.
Yeah, it's a very very interesting subject at this moment, and this is also in the view of all the discussions and hype, some reality around what can AI do, and what it can replace, what it cannot, and then how that the future looks like in the world of AI or so on. But my start, I would say, let's first get to the basics, right? Now, how do we really define what is operational? In a way, if we just put a simple word around it, it's basically the roles that executes or that are executed based on the defined set of processes, right? Whereas a series of activities are to be executed, based on defined processes, logic, available data, available systems, available tools and technologies, and so on, right?
Yeah,
Anything outside of it which needs to create process or create new logic or create new data, new tools, new technology, essentially is not operational, right? Now, this is also, in linkage with, let's say, what is operational today was aspirational 10 years back and was beyond any imagination maybe 30 years back.
right,
Right. And then that's how technology across all the industrial revolutions have evolved and developed and became common uses. Now,
right,
if you just put this into a cycle, okay, we call it for human convenience or call it for, the evolution of the world or whatever way we name them. But essentially, it starts with an imagination, right? Somebody imagines something, either, let's say, in today's world, we see, many things which was imagined in a sci-fi movie or in a novel, many decades back, right? Then, some people will do something behind it and then, will start bringing that to reality for maybe on an experiment basis, on a POC basis. And therefore, many people start seeing this, that, okay, this could be a possibility, right?
right. Yeah,
And then that becomes a wish list for many, right? As it expands more, as it becomes more prevalent, more usage increases, then it becomes wants for many others.
right. Yeah,
And then as it becomes more prevalent, as becomes more common, it slowly becomes need for, a larger population. And
correct.
then slowly becomes necessity for, a much larger population, right? You can apply this on any product, any technology, anything that we have, that we are seeing today or we have experienced in the past,
Hmm.
right? We can take any example. It could be, let's say about content creation, right? This was supposed to be most, innovative role, 15, 20 years back, right? Because, based on limited information, based on your thought processes, your primary research, you create a content. Now
Right.
today it's not even operational, like at
Yeah.
a click of a button you can get anything.
Right. Yeah.
Now, does that really kill the content creation? The answer is no, because what AI gives us today is the content which is already known. right?
That
How about
human
the
touch, that human element is missing.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Right. Now, how about the content which has to be created, which nobody has seen so far? Now,
Hmm.
what it could be, we don't know at this moment, right?
Hmm.
Or maybe there are many which is already being done, but it hasn't really come to the AI where it can really convert into a normal uses, right? You can apply this to any product and anything around us, right?
Hmm.
The world that we live in, it's much more luxurious, for a common people than what kings in few centuries back, could imagine.
Right.
So, so I think what I'm trying to say is that the whole creation that has to happen for movement across this cycle from imagination to wish list to want to need to necessity is there is something needs to be done between these two steps, right? And that's where the human element continues, right?
Hmm.
And this has always happened and this will continue to happen, in my understanding. Okay. And therefore if we see, okay, what could be really required for the content or technology or product to really move from one stage to another, the first and foremost comes creativity and innovation, right?
Hmm.
This is something that we have been hearing since I have started seeing the world, or since I remember anything in this life, and this will continue to be that way, right? Now, what role could include creativity innovation? In a way, it is anything and everything will have this, right? Many times we see that okay, this product has saturated, but then suddenly somebody comes up with a new idea or new features or something, and then that product, the life of that product or usage of that product suddenly becomes multifold or increases life by another few decades, right?
Yeah.
So the people like product designer, creative director, marketing strategist,
Hmm.
architects, R&D engineers, graphics designer, software developers, interior designer, entrepreneurs, I mean, content creator. I mean, some of these things are here to stay. Now,
Right.
what they will do, what will entail in their role on a day-to-day basis, that could keep on changing, right? Let's say 25 years back, for somebody to write a 10,000 line code, there is
Hmm.
a significant amount of learning, innovation, creativity, IQ, all of those we required. Today, at a click of one prompt, you can
Yeah.
get 100,000 lines of codes, right?
Yes.
But then, uh, like what you could do it 10,000 line earlier, let's say 25 years back. For doing that, you need only 500 lines today, right? Based on how the tools and how the platforms have evolved, and this
Yeah.
this cycle is going to continue,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
Now, the second part, which I think which will also always be in high demand, will be anything that needs emotional intelligence, right? We all are human, right? And
Yeah.
therefore, anything that needs to understand, manage, response to emotions,
Hmm.
that kind of roles are continue to be required and will continue to be in demand. Like
Right.
people like human resource managers, healthcare professionals,
Correct.
educators and trainers, the leaders and managers,
Hmm.
right? Now, whatever the content that AI is getting today, or let's say the logic, somebody has developed these logic and developed these content in the past, right? And as a human, we will continue to evolve that, develop that, so that AI can become more and more smarter, right? Now
Yeah.
somebody is there become behind making AI smarter, right? Now, similarly, the same thing you can apply to complex decision making, right? Decision making, when it is, you have to decide based on certain given logic, AI can decide, or maybe an algorithm can decide. But wherever it involves, where a judgment has to be taken into account, and intuition has to be taken into account. There are several ethical considerations. You have to see long-term consequences. What could be contextual, based on certain situations and data. I think that also is going to continue. you know,
Right. Yeah.
the need for executive positions like CEO, CFO, healthcare professionals, surgeons,
That cannot be
uh,
replaced.
that
Yeah.
cannot be replaced. The judges, the
Yeah.
corporate lawyers, right? The software engineers, data scientists, design engineers. Something that is something that is always going to be required. Yeah, tool that they use on a day-to-day basis for making the decision, that is going to become more and more smarter.
Mm.
But then somebody has to make that decision,
Right.
right?
Right.
The next I would say is anything that needs, where, the person or a machine and the algorithm that continuously have to adapt to the new evolving situation that involves new learning, right? That is something that is, continue going to be important and critical, and therefore, like anybody who, let's say, who is pretty good at, adapting to a new situation, okay, learn new skills, are continue to going to be required, because as technology evolves, you will need people, who can adjust to that technology and who can, use that technology to whatever, make best out of it, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
therefore, people who continue to learn, continue to adapt, they
Mm.
will always be in high demand.
Correct. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Now, then, we always have questions around, the ethical values or ethical questions of what, of AI, right?
Mm.
And therefore, humans will be indispensable, wherever an ethical framework and principles, is required, behind either the decision making or even the development of these AI tools itself, or any tool, any algorithm. And
Right.
therefore, wherever you need privacy, fairness, transparency, accountability, I think, the humans are required to be, in the forefront, right?
Yes. Absolutely.
And then I think, see, we all are human beings, right? We all have our own emotions, right?
Yeah.
And therefore, places where, you need interpersonal, one-to-one communication, either through online or in person, is always going to be required. And therefore, areas like teaching, training, negotiation, diplomacy,
Mm.
right? I mean, that's always going to be there. Now,
Right.
now all of these roles will have different tools in their hand to really, to support in this,
Mm.
and that will keep on evolving, because the both sides are becoming more and more aware, more and more smarter, right? And you know taking it further, like, the world that we live in has always evolved, based on a culture prevailing in a society, and culture continue to evolve, right? And therefore, how do you really, uh, make sure that the people who are there, they understand the past, the culture competence,
Mm.
appreciate, use the new technology, and support in evolving it, support in expanding it, support in, making society aware about it, right?
Right.
I think that is something which is always going to be required, and therefore people behind it, whether they use this to train the model or train people, I think that's always going to be in demand, right?
Right.
Now, last and, not the least, I think, every technology brings its own set of challenges, whether it could be in terms of, it could be in terms of security, in terms of exposure, and there would be elements that will exploit them, right? And therefore, you need to develop, mechanisms to counter it. You will also have regulations, so therefore you need, to bring new regulations. And
Yeah.
therefore, when there is a regulation, you also need to monitor the compliance, right?
Correct.
This itself, it's, as we speak today, there is a huge cyber security or IT security, world that is expanding exponentially, right? And
Right.
I think this is also something going to be more and more important. you know every country is coming out with their own data privacy, their own laws, while people are, exposing themselves on the social media and whatever they communicate, at the same time there is an ask for the privacy, right?
Yes.
Now,
Yeah.
both of this has to coexist. And if this has to coexist, technology also has to play a big role in that, and therefore you need people who has to, one, control technology, second, develop technology to secure it, and then also monitor compliances. Right.
Right.
So, in fundamentally, I think, if I sum it up, in my understanding, the roles or the people, wherever you need creativity, emotional intelligence, decision making, interpersonal communications, where, people have to create strategic visions, are always going to be in demand. At the
Right.
same time, I think you also need to, continuously train the model, and then what is operational today, will become maybe obsolete in due course, and what is strategic today may become operational in future. Okay.
Right.
And therefore, in my opinion, the both human, the operational role, as well as the AI, what it does, I think it has to coexist. Okay.
Right.
The content of what would be operational will keep on changing, because what was strategic 10 years back has
Mm.
become operational today, and what is strategic today will become operational maybe 10 years down the line.
Right.
But then operational role are here to stay. It's just that the what you do in that and how do you perform those roles will change. But as a human, our need for convenience, need for what more we want in our life around us, is going to continuously evolve, and therefore all of these also will keep on evolving. Thank you.
Right. So basically, technology can, can make our lives easier in different fronts, but it cannot replace humans completely, for sure. I mean, and I think that's how, and I hope it stays like that, because, the way AI is progressing, you sometimes feel that everything is so automated, but I think that human touch, that human element is very important.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And as we, as we grow, right? I mean, I don't know, if I take 30 years back, there was a black and white TV. You have
Right. Yeah.
10 channels on the TV which you can click.
Yes.
Now the remote came. Now, when the remote came, many people question, why do we need remote, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Then the as the number of channels increased, the remote became a necessity, right? you
Right.
cannot you cannot operate on TV anymore,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Now, as the channels became, 1 to 10 to 100, now it is millions, right? If you just open YouTube, you have millions and millions of content.
Yes.
Now, even remote is not sufficient, right? Now you need an app.
Yes.
Now, so now even app is not sufficient. Now you need a voice command to the app, really, to really flip through the content. And then this is going to continue. What if, let's say, tomorrow we imagine saying, okay, the TV needs to operate, or my device needs to operate, based on what I'm thinking in my mind,
Hmm.
right? Now, maybe it is just an imagination today. There is
Yeah, but
Mr.
it
Musk who
may
is saying
be
something about,
reality tomorrow.
yeah, but it can become a reality tomorrow. And
Yeah.
therefore, what needs to be done to make that into reality? you
Hmm.
know I mean, the same kind of stuff is going to continue across, across everything, in my opinion. So I think
Correct.
that's how I see what is coming ahead for us.
Sujit, so very well explained. And, I mean, it was really interesting to hear. I mean, how, to see this holistically, and not just see it only from a technology point of view. Thank you so much, Sujit, for sharing your insights. And I think your perspective brought great value to this conversation, Sujit. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Radhika. Pleasure talking. Thank you.
Thank you. And I look forward to connecting with you again on, many other such topics, Sujit.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.